Hello and welcome to Healthy Living. I'm Jacqueline Lapine, Communications Director for the Department of Health and Senior Services. It's that time of year where the parties never seem to end. Food has always been an important part of gatherings, whether it be a Christmas family dinner, a holiday office lunch, or even a Super Bowl party. Nothing brings people together quite like food. And we want to make sure that people know the proper steps to take to ensure that they celebrate safely. I'm joined today by Food Safety Specialist Mary Glassburner. Mary, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Well, we have some things that we want to go through and demonstrate real quickly so we can ensure everyone has a healthy and safe holiday season when celebrating and cooking for their friends and family. First, we start off with cleaning, obviously cleaning our hands. What's the best way to clean before we start preparing the food?
Anytime you come into the kitchen, you want to wash your hands and wash them thoroughly. What we want to make sure that people understand is that you wash thoroughly for about 15 to 20 seconds with warm soapy water. And then rather than using a cloth towel, use paper towels if they're available. That way those can be destroyed.
Great. Tell me a little bit about then cleaning our cutting boards and cleaning up after we've prepared the food.
All surfaces before you place food on them should be cleaned and with soapy water. A wood cutting board can be wiped down effectively with soapy water. Smaller cutting boards can actually go into the dishwasher or even into the sink with warm soapy water, rinse well, and then use a very mild solution of bleach water. And the best formula for making that solution of bleach water is 1 ounce of bleach to 1 gallon of water. And that makes just the right amount to kill any bacteria that we might be concerned with.
Well, I know we want to keep our foods separate. Tell me a little bit about keeping our foods separate so there's no cross-contamination.
Obvious that we want to keep the meat separate from the ready-to-eat foods. These foods may not have any other cooking to kill any bacteria, so we want to make sure we separate and keep them separate. Same way with your utensils. You never want to use the same utensil for cutting your ready-to-eat foods and as you do for cutting your raw meats.
So we're going to thaw our meats before we prepare them for our holiday meal. Tell me a little bit about that, the thawing process in preparing.
Okay, whether it's chicken planks such as this or whether it's a whole turkey or a whole chicken and we're trying to thaw the product, it's always best to thaw it in the refrigerator, not out on the counter, because we don't want the outside surfaces to be warmer than the inside. That if there's organisms, if there's bacteria on the surface, that allows those time to grow, and that's what we want to prevent. So we would thaw our meats in the refrigerator. If you have a turkey you're trying to thaw, you need to plan ahead because it's going to take several days in the refrigerator, probably about 4 hours for every pound. Now, if you're going to prepare a food immediately after you thaw it, you can thaw it safely in the microwave, and that would be much smaller cuts of meat.
When we get into then cooking after we've thawed and prepared our foods, tell me what's the best temperature and what are some rules and guidelines that we should look for?
Anymore, most turkeys have the little pop-up thermometer that comes out, but still you need to make sure that you do check the temperature with an accurate thermometer. We rely on those things to give us a hint that is about ready, but you need to use the thermometer and you place it in the thickest part of the turkey, which and chicken, either one, a whole one, and you place it between the leg and the thigh, or between the body and thigh, and that gives you it tends to cook long, or it takes longer there to reach that 165-degree temperature, and that's what we're striving for, is to reach that temperature.
165 degrees in the thickest part of the turkey.
Right.
Well, we heat our foods to a proper temperature and they're ready to serve. What are some guidelines for leaving it out?
A general rule of thumb is 2 hours, and that's from the time you move it from the heat and you put it in a dish, a serving dish, and all during the time you serve it and it sets out, and then putting it away. So a full 2 hours.
Tell me a little bit about leftovers and heating those up. Of course, our holiday meals, one of the best parts is those turkey sandwiches perhaps the next day. What should people know about reheating leftovers, cold or hot?
Well, after the 2 hours is expired and you're ready to cool your foods into the refrigerator and move them for safe cold storage, a large piece of meat such as a turkey or a large roast or a ham should be cut into smaller portions. And of course, turkey, it's pretty easy to debone, so you debone that and place it into a shallow dish, so similar to this, not only about 4 inches deep, and that way it will cool very rapidly. Thing with any of your casseroles. Most casseroles are in a shallow dish anyway, and once the 2 hours is expired, then you cover them and move them into the refrigerator to cool.
Great. And tell me a little bit about buffets and serving perhaps on a dish such as this.
This chafing dish is really nice and handy for serving, and because it will keep hot foods hot. And that's what we're after, is to keep hot foods hot. Best temperature is 135 degrees or warmer for hot foods. Cold foods are a little bit different. Oftentimes we'll just put cold foods that are dairy, for instance, a cheese of some type or egg of some kind. Sometimes we'll just set them out, and if we're willing to discard those, then that's probably not a bad plan. But if you're wanting to save those things and save those dips, then it's best if you have a small bowl such as this that we had looked at earlier, and put ice in it, and then put your dish right down nestled into the ice. So it's on a bed of ice to keep cold. It also keeps it, keeps the quality of the food a little bit better. It keeps it cold. General rule of thumb is if it's supposed to be hot, then you need to maintain it hot. If it's supposed to be cold, you maintain it cold.
Great. Well, I thank you so much, Mary, for joining us today. Some really important tips. We, of course, want people to remember the good memories of the holiday season and not the foodborne illness that could have been easily prevented. So we invite you to visit our website, dhss.mo.gov, for further food safety tips and for all of the health information you need.